Yeah, I'm ready though whenever you are.
Okay, you got your camera on?
Yeah. See, now you're asking me to share my camera. Hang on, I got you.
Do you want us to just use your logo?
Let's see
You're
here.
so well
Fire
known.
waiting
It's up to you.
room. And let's see here. Turn on camera. There we go.
God, it looks so good. This is like a
Oh,
great
thank you.
studio.
You look so nice
I look
too.
like a DJ. See?
I'll show you how to set that up for yourself,
So,
so that you can share your camera with other people that you're interviewing. I'm gonna take
mhm,
your webcam from your stream though, real quick.
correct.
Uh, so our viewers can also see you. How
And
are you today?
I'm okay. Chat's saying they can't hear me.
Oh
So,
no.
yeah, I know. It's always something techie. Okay, chat. Does that sound good to you now? You guys hear me all the time. You're not going to miss it today if you don't hear me for a whole hour. Hi, Mr. Piece of Work. Hello,
No.
everyone. I am so excited, so I really hope you can hear. Forget me. I just hope you can hear him. I've been popping in and out of Dirtbag's channel and community because you know how Twitch gets to you sometimes and you just want to go sit and kind of vibe and chill and hang out, and it's one of those kind of places. And I knew when I started my interviews I was going to ask Mr. Dirtbag first, but my chat beat me to it, and he was the most requested guest for this series when we planned it. So I'm very happy to have Dirtbag. I've spoken with him a couple of times, and there's a lot to say. So I don't want to yeah. I have nothing else to say but sit and listen. I'll throw in a few prompts every now and then, and I hope you're going to sit back and enjoy getting to meet him because he's always streaming like myself, and we have a similarity and overlap in our backgrounds that's rather surprising because he was involved also with AIM in SoCal and LA, among other things. But I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself to our community here, and then we're gonna go right
Sure.
into what you really want to talk about. And there were several issues: orphans, abandonment, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Sure. So thank you for having me on. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
I also enjoy your channel
Really?
quite a bit as well.
Oh, that's nice.
And so I am Dirtbag. I am mostly just a super extremely online lefty person. I want everybody's material conditions to be improved. I want to tackle big issues like climate change and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I basically live on this website now. So like I'm always on Twitch like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's pretty much just kind of what I'm getting up to. I started getting extremely online during coronavirus because
Yeah.
um, yeah, my girlfriend has she's like in the high risk category, so we are trying really hard to not bring coronavirus home. So I've become very extremely online over the last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything has been online. It makes things difficult. And when you're involved in sort of activism, it's kind of hard to
Right.
get out there, you know.
Yeah, it can be difficult. It's been kind of a conundrum because like over the last about 4 years, minus this last one, I was involved with a lot of like protest organizing here in the Los Angeles area, and like that's difficult now because, in my opinion, like I don't want to organize events where people are going and gathering in large crowds. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, and I don't have anything against it. I know there's been lots of protests and I fully support them. The ones that have happened all throughout the summer. I
Mm-hmm.
just don't want to like organize and put people out there. You know what I'm saying?
I do. I remember the
Yeah.
controversy too. How are you going to organize? How are you going to get on the streets without a mask?
Mhm.
And is there going to be a massive
Right. That is
outbreak?
one good thing. I think most of the protests over the summer, around like Black Lives Matter and that,
Mm-hmm.
most people were wearing.
Yeah.
That's at least good.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh God, it seems it's so long, and I'm not sure. I haven't seen any real appreciable change as a result.
Right.
And I grew up with a lot of protests. You know, none of them had to go this long. I think
Yeah.
Flint was probably
Well,
the one. Ferguson. I remember those two went on and on and on in St. Louis. And this is
yeah,
just
those went for a while. Well, wasn't Ferguson where BLM kind of originated
yeah,
from? I thought.
shot with both hands up.
Yeah.
Yep, yep, yep. We
Right.
wrote an anthem, my partner and I, when that happened, that they kind of
Yeah.
played, kind of in solidarity. But I think at that point too, I know I was involved in No DAPL and Idle No More.
Okay.
So, and I was
Yeah.
working with some international situations with refugees, etc. So, the only thing, well, like
Oh, you've
COVID.
done work
Hmm.
with refugees, huh? Oh, that's
Yeah,
nice.
we work with
We could actually
refugees.
talk about that today too. I actually I
Yeah,
used to work for UNHCR, the UN
yeah,
Refugee Agency,
yeah, yeah,
back in the
yeah.
day.
We were a cohort
Yeah.
with them. Sure.
Yeah. Nice. I didn't know that.
Well,
Fantastic. You just get more and more fantastic every time I talk to you.
you're just sweet. That's what you are. You're as sweet as Tupelo honey. And I think
Aw.
that's why everybody just loves you, 'cause you make my accent bend. That's how come that.
Oh, that's fantastic.
What would you like to talk about first? Um,
Well,
because I know you have so much.
that's up to yeah,
Not up to me.
I'll let you guide it. So if you had questions or
Yeah.
anything,
Um,
yeah, feel free. I'm pretty much an open book, so
well, I'm gonna ask you about the UNHRC and your involvement, and then I'd like to hear about foster care. I'd like to
sure.
hear how you intend to quote do communism,
Hmm.
and anything else you want to add. I'm going to try to get it all in the time that we have. So if you could tell me, I guess briefly about your UNHRC, and wasn't it Greenpeace as well? That experience.
Yeah, so it's UNHCR, the United
HRC.
Nations, I believe it's High Council for Refugees is the
Yeah.
actual acronym name. They're like basically the main refugee agency within the UN. I worked for the United States branch, which is USA for UNHCR. And what I did for them was very similar, almost the same thing as what I did when I worked with Greenpeace, which was I helped them to open fundraising offices and train people to do canvassing to raise money for for the operations of UNHCR. So that was what I did there, and specifically with them, it was slightly different. Whereas with Greenpeace, I did a similar thing, but we did a kind of just a different style of canvassing. So here in Los Angeles for UNHCR, I implemented a door-to-door program where we would go, where I would train people to do canvassing door to door and to raise money for UNHCR to do their operations. And yeah, so that was a lot of fun. And I did that for a number of years. And oddly enough, I got into that because I used to sell vacuum cleaners door to door for almost a decade. Yeah.
Kirby's.
Kirby vacuums, yeah. In fact, my very first indigenous friends I ever met were probably thanks to selling Kirby vacuums.
They are the best vacuum ever made. Yes, I
Aren't
bought
they?
one from a door-to-door salesman, and it made a huge difference, even our health.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I met a lot of comrades down in like the down in New Mexico in like the Farmington area.
Oh yeah,
So I have some, yeah, I have some Navajo comrades out there from
yeah,
like the Shiprock area,
Shiprock.
where we used to go and sell Kirby vacuums and stuff.
Well, that's where they got me and sold me. I was sent
Oh,
by
really?
the border in Tucson, where the dust is like it eats you. And
Okay.
here came the
Yeah.
answer to my whole life. with
There's
the
so much
Kirby.
dirt. Yeah.
You have no idea unless you live up in there. But I was up in that high desert, and I was like, Lord have mercy, I just can't. I was like, mm-mm. And here he came, showed up at the door, happened to have one, pulled it out the van, and vacuumed my whole house.
Yep.
And of course, by the time he was done, I was like, "Here's 1,400. There, give me all the
Yep.
bells and whistles." And I was just, you'd have
Yeah.
to live in that
Yeah.
area to understand why it was so important. It was like
To
life-changing
understand
moment.
it, yeah.
And he
It's
just,
wild. Listen,
yeah,
we used to do this. I used to do this thing when we'd be down there, like working on Navajo Nation and stuff. Because it's true, it's that high desert area. There's so much dust and dirt and wind
inches.
and shit. It's crazy. You can take you can like I used to take the Kirby vacuum and you can put it down on the floor and it's got like the hose that comes out of the back of it.
Uh-huh.
And I would just do that right at the door, and a literal like hurricane of dirt would just blow out of their carpet, you know. And people were like, "Whoa!" Yeah, so it was actually a great place to sell vacuums because there's so much
is.
dust.
It is.
You know?
You're guaranteed a sale. My house has never had carpet for that reason down there. I was like, no, I
Yeah.
don't want to get burned. But okay, so you lived around Diné people. So can you give the proper Diné greeting?
No, I'm not that cultured, unfortunately.
John Wayne could do it.
John Wayne can do it. He
Yeah.
was like pretty
Badly.
bigoted, wasn't
It's
he?
pretty bad though, but it was.
Yeah. Okay.
It's yat
Yat e.
yat
Am I saying that right?
Yeah,
Yat e shigit
shikis.
sikis.
How are you, my
Close,
friend? It's
maybe?
good to see you. That's what it means.
How are you, my friend?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
John Wayne said it at
You know-
hey. I was like, no, don't. Anyway.
Yat hey.
Yeah.
See, I have actually heard that before. Yeah.
Hey. I don't know if everybody
Yeah.
says that. Anyway.
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
I would like to go back to the desert actually, but living
Hey,
there.
the desert is good times. Actually, I've had a lot of fun out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's mystical.
Mm-hmm.
Coyote
Yeah.
country. It's mystical.
It is. It really is. Yeah, so that was kind of how I got into doing organizing with UNHCR. Also Greenpeace. I worked with Greenpeace first, but that was how I got into like working with NGOs or nonprofit groups. As far as that goes, yeah. In fact, it was just like I was out of work and I needed a job, and I found an ad in a newspaper that said, "Hey, Greenpeace is hiring." And yeah, I went and worked with them for a number of years. They sent me
Wow.
around to all over the place.
Wow.
I started out just kind of canvassing for them, signing people up for Greenpeace memberships. They would
Right.
sign up and do monthly donations. And then eventually I started training people to do that. And then eventually they wanted me to basically just go around to different cities where they wanted to open up new fundraising operations and
Mhm.
just kind of help with opening up offices and stuff. So,
Right.
so yeah, I helped a bit with the office here in LA, opened the office in Hawaii, which was actually like the last place that I worked with them.
Hawaii.
In Hawaii, yeah.
We also have, I guess, two of my favorite places to work, where I lived in Maui and got to work in LA.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
I think I kind of needled you to see if you can tell me to segue from the refugee situation.
uh-huh.
What was your best and worst experience in working in LA? The best and worst
Working in
thing.
LA.
That's the worst thing about LA.
Just LA in general. So like for me it's complicated a little bit
yeah.
because I did work with Greenpeace out here.
Mhm.
And so I like that was like meeting a lot of people, right? Whether it was training new people or meeting people out on the street, like you're engaging people face to face, right?
True.
And when you do a lot of that kind of work, you get to know the people where you live. And so what I have found is that Los Angeles, contrary to what a lot of people would believe, because like Hollywood is out here and everything else,
Mhm.
there are a lot of really amazing, really authentic and fantastic people out here.
Mhm.
And there's also a very, very strong activist community in Los
Oh yeah.
Angeles. And the cool thing about it is there's actually like there's a lot of crossover. So like if you're at a protest that's like an immigration rally, you're going to also find like BLM Los Angeles will be there, even though they're not, an immigrants rights group. And
Yeah.
AIM SoCal, in fact, generally will be at like every single. They're almost at every single protest that happens out here.
Wow.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, and it's really great too. We've had some great moments where where these different groups, activist groups from LA, come together, and we have these events and protests and different things like that. And it's pretty great. It's a great place. It's got its downsides, obviously, but the people here are really fantastic. So
Yeah. I had
yeah,
a great time working in LA.
yeah,
It was fabulous, and I wanted to sit down sometime. I had another streamer ask me about, can you come tell me Hollywood stories? And I never got a chance, but someday I will. I'll sit down with a few LA folks and exchange Hollywood stories if you want. You wouldn't
right.
believe it. It's literally the stuff you make movies out of because reasons. But I loved it, and I hated it when I first went. They couldn't get me off the plane. It
Oh
was just
no.
the nature of my business, and that I had to go. And I kicked and screamed and threw a stinking fit. I was mauling top of my
Yeah.
lungs in 3 different languages coming off that plane talking about how come I can't get a car? Y'all so full of everything. You have everything. I can't get a rental car. This place is so scuffed. I want to go home. That's it. Call somebody. Take me out of here. Get me back on the plane. So they came and got me. They got me and took me
Yeah.
out of. Okay, they escorted me out of the airport, and I'm still going off, and just all
Right.
Cajun style. And then they got me. The cab driver was so terrified of me, you know, and he bent over
Right.
backwards trying to get me to just give her what she wants. Just give her what she wants. I was like, damn straight, Skippy. You pretentious motherfucking pieces of shit. I don't know why the hell I have to. I ain't no
Yeah.
Hollywood Indian, god damn it. I was just all kind of. And I got to, Jesus, where was it? Oh, Jesus, Century Plaza is where they put me. And I walked
Uh-huh.
in and just literally just STFU. I don't know if you ever seen that.
Right.
But there was Hollywood all decked out, and the event and it was happening, and the carpets were coming in, and everybody was coming in, and they're treating you like you're royalty. Anyway, so I just shut up and kind of, oh, okay, ooh, woo, ha, 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 and calmed down. And when I did, and then I found out what it was really about. The hardest working people, they'll take the biggest risks and
Yeah.
navigate through the most genuinely fake place in the country. And
Yeah.
they knew
Well,
a few
Hollywood
things.
is Hollywood is a trip. I don't have a lot of experience in like Hollywood at all. In fact, I've got none because I don't work in the entertainment industry, other than like being a Twitch streamer, which is not the same.
It is the same.
Also, I have a very small
Oh,
Twitch channel.
I disagreed. Debate me. It is the same. No, just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but yeah, I can imagine it would be pretty wild. I
It
do
was
meet a lot of
fabulous.
people who are out here, because they're aspiring to get into the entertainment
It's a
industry.
mistake.
And you run into people like that a lot out here.
Oh yeah.
Generally they're working their tails off at
Yeah.
some job somewhere,
Yeah.
that they probably
Yeah.
don't really like, and they're trying to get like roles and parts and stuff like that. So yeah, and there's a lot of fakeness out here because there's like a lot of nepotism,
Oh
because there's so
God,
many
yeah.
talented people out there who aren't recognized, but then like somebody knows somebody in Hollywood, so they get a part.
That's how that works. Somehow somebody's
Yeah.
friend or favorite something shows up, Someday
Yeah.
when we sit down, I'll tell you stories of, it's like Tales from the City from LA, stories of Hollywood
Uh-huh.
hopefuls, and I have a ton of them, and they're all movies in their own right. But anyway,
Yeah.
I had a grand time in I didn't expect to have a grand time, but I actually started in the music industry, so it was you
Right.
work to get up to that level, and you take your chances.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah. For sure.
Hollywood is do you know how to start? Do you know how to wind up with a small fortune?
How's that?
You start off with a big one.
Oh yeah. Sounds like capitalism.
That's it. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so we're leaving the yellow brick road behind. Oh my. Um, and you talked about
Yeah.
HCR and your refugee
UATR. Yeah.
work
Yeah. A
and
little
your
bit about
Greenpeace.
Greenpeace.
What
Greenpeace
about
was the same. Yeah.
Greenpeace is the same. What about the foster care? That I really wanted to talk with you more
Yeah.
about that.
Sure. There's probably a lot to say about that
Good.
actually. And I hope you don't mind, but I've been drinking beer all day and I suddenly like have to pee really bad. Do you
Naturally.
mind if I step away for like
I
30
absolutely
seconds?
didn't know.
Thir-
No problem.
okay, thank you.
I'll
I'm
put us on
so
a pause.
fucking sorry. Yeah. Okay, I'll be
Well,
right
looky
right
here.
back, I
It's
promise.
your camera, not mine. I don't. It's fine.
Okay, I'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
Okay, I am back. I am very, 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 very sorry.
Well, as they say,
Hello?
it
Hello? Hello? Hello?
happens.
Hello?
You there? We've got you.
What happened?
There I go. You
Oh,
got me?
sorry about that. Okay.
No problem.
Yeah, I apologize. I could not help it.
Well, as they say, it happens. It's natural bodily functions. Right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, if you can go ahead and talk to me about foster care. I know this is important, and I've got
Yeah.
so many people in
Yeah,
my
sure.
community that went through foster care that I'm stunned.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, foster care is a trip. And I know that it's gonna be like it's a different experience depending on where you're at and who you are. Um, but I guess to start off with, I guess I could say like got into foster care. Like my mom was really, really poor, and she had some mental issues that were never diagnosed, but she definitely had there was something. I don't know what it was. But she definitely struggled with like some mental issues as well.
Hmm.
And mostly it was never diagnosed because we were poor and healthcare and stuff like that. But so when I was about 12 years old, my mom felt like she could no longer provide for me anymore,
Mhm.
and so she thought that like a better life for me would be to give me up as a ward of the state, basically. Now the state had been involved in our lives since I was a child, because of like welfare checks and stuff. I don't know. I think it's different from state to state, but because my mother received like welfare benefits, she was subject to be like searched by people from like the health or the public service or whatever fucking state department,
Family
child
services,
services.
child
There it
services.
is. Uh,
CPS.
and so like they were kind of always a thing in my life as a kid growing up. They would come and do these weird checkups and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And it was always weird for me because like my mom would always be really stressed out when it would happen and that kind of sort of thing. And then like eventually I think over the years after so long of that and her struggling for so long, it was like she didn't know what else to do. She's like, well, they want to take care of my kids, so maybe they could do better than me, I guess. I don't really know what the process was. I know that she was desperate and she thought that she couldn't really provide for me. So it's really kind of sad and unfortunate, that she didn't have the kind of
Yeah.
help that she needed.
Yeah.
But that was kind of how I ended up in foster care. And well, it was interesting, because like as a child, um, I didn't quite understand it. I didn't understand the nuance behind why my mom did that. And so I was rebellious against her. And then living as a ward of the state is very hard. And so I developed this like really deep kind of resentment um for authority and for the state in general. Yeah. And so in a way that kind of led me into being a leftist at a really young age without even knowing that it was a political thing, and so yeah, it was a trip because like there's a lot of things that happen, and I know that like for example, I've spoken with Lasu about this a little bit, and they have a completely unique understanding of foster care than I do, because it's, as I said before, it's different for everybody depending on where you're at and who you are. So here, when the way that foster care works is that it's just like with most things in America, it's a money rack. And so they figured out a way to profit from the fact that there are kids who need like parents, basically.
Yeah.
They need a place to live. They need a home, and so the way that it worked when I was in foster care was that there were different levels of foster care kids as far as like how bad they are, basically. So there was like level 1, which was like the easiest kid to take care of. There was level 5, which was like the hardest kid to take care of. And the pay was based on that scale. So foster parents who took in like the level 5 troublemaker kids always got they got paid the most per kid, and they also got you get paid per child as well. And so just that aspect of it right there was pretty shitty, kind of, to say the least, because like it creates a situation also where a lot of kids are grouped in with just like I was always with all the worst of the worst kids, right? We were the ones who were kicked out of all the schools, who were doing drugs, and like when I was a kid, I was running away from foster homes and group homes and stuff like that. And me and my friends, like our idea of fun when I was like 14 or 15 years old was to go out and steal a couple of cars and just go joyride them in the fucking desert, fucking beat the cars down in the desert, just romping around, and then just ditch them there and steal the car stereos so that we could sell them for doing drugs. And yeah, so like these were this was like the foster care world was a bunch of kids like me who were rejects. They didn't give a fuck about anything. They were rebellious, angry, and so that's kind of like the environment as far as the like the foster kids. A lot of kids that are in there and they're feeling really out of place, and a lot of the behaviors and actions are coming from a place of like feeling like you're a reject of society. On top of that, so like the way the foster parents would be, I went through a few homes that were decent, like the people were pretty decent. But I also went through some that were problematic to say the least. The first foster home that I lived in, they owned a cattle farm, and we would literally be up at like 6 o'clock in the summertime when there was no school. We would be up at 6 o'clock in the morning on the farm like literally just fucking doing labor all day and not getting paid for it, you know, just as kids, by the way. Like it was like legitimately an entire child labor setup, and horribly, like horribly, that wasn't the only foster home that I lived in that operated that way. I also lived in another one that did the same thing, but the owner, the foster care dad, was he was a construction developer, and so we did construction work all day, every day, all summer long. When there wasn't school, and when there was school, you know, we had to go to school, but then it was go to work after school. It was pretty fucking wild.
So, child labor. It was a kiddie mill, as they call it. We used to call
Yeah, so there was child labor stuff going on that was pretty bad. There was also, again, like I said, there were some foster homes that were decent. Luckily enough, by the time I was in high school, about maybe 8th grade, or sorry, 10th grade, I got into a foster home and I ended up staying there for like 3 years, and they weren't total pieces of shit. So that was good. But yeah, the system in general is really it's pretty bad. And a lot of like what I saw growing up in foster care and everything else kind of led me to I think a lot of my, I guess, politicalness today, and led me to a lot of my positions on this.
I can see why. Did you have any agency as a foster child? What happened when you needed to complain or ask to be transferred? What was that process like?
Yeah, the the process was they didn't listen to they like they
Yeah.
don't really listen to foster kids. Yeah.
So,
I complained about like having to go and work on the cow the cattle farm and doing the construction work and stuff, you know. And yeah, they don't listen to you. So like my thing was to run away. And so I ran away from a lot of different places, you
right.
know. So like a lot of my childhood growing up in foster care was living in a place that was really fucking sucked and it was horrible. And then I would run away and live on the streets or with
Yeah.
friends or whoever I
Yeah.
could for a couple weeks, 2 weeks, month at a time or so, and then end up getting caught. You get arrested by the cops. That's the other thing too, is that when you grow up in foster care, you're gonna like always be involved with cops, and cops will
Yeah.
always be involved in your life, and
Yeah.
that's probably also where I grew this kind of deep distrust and dislike for cops as well,
Yeah.
growing up. So yeah,
Did you go to juvie?
I did.
How many
Yeah.
times?
I went to juvie a few times, yeah, and then so when I was telling you about how my buddies and I used to like to joyride, we would steal cars and go
Yeah.
joyride in the desert,
Yeah.
and but like it sounds really bad, right? But like believe me, when you're a kid, it was fun as shit. We were getting
Yeah.
drunk and like just fucking taking these cars and jumping them around in the desert and shit. It was a good time. But some friends of mine, it's kind of a funny story a little bit, because like some friends of mine, they were out doing that one day and I didn't go with them. I was like, they even came by my house where my foster home was at the time. And this is, by this point, I was already living at the foster home I told you where I stayed at for like the last like 2 or 3 years. That was halfway decent.
Uh-huh.
Well, they came by and they tried to pick me up. They're like, hey, let's go. And they already had cars in it that they had stole from somewhere. And like, I wasn't really feeling that great. And I was just like, nah, I don't think I'm going to go with you guys tonight, you know? And so they took off and whatever. And I guess they ended up getting busted that night. And one of them said my name
Oh,
because
no.
of, like when the cops came and I guess apparently they got like hemmed up by the cops in an alley somewhere, and they all scattered and ran.
Mhm.
But I guess one of the kids that was there gave the cops my name, and I ended up being like guilty by association. I literally was not even there and did not participate in it, but I had participated in it previous, you know.
What did you tell them?
But I got wrapped up into that whole stupid thing And yeah, I got in a bunch of fucking trouble for it because I was already on probation for getting caught with weed at school. And so they get like I literally had to plea bargain. They were going to give me I was looking at like 3 years in Department of Youth Corrections, or I plea bargained down to go to. I spent like a few months. It was like 3 months in juvie, waiting to go into boot camp.
Yeah.
And then I was in boot camp for 60 days, which was like a juvenile boot camp where you literally just do like military drills and
Yeah.
shit all day. It's like boot camp for the military without the tear gas thing and without the guns, you know. And so I did that, and then I had to have probation for 2 years, and then I had to have an ankle monitor for an entire year. So yeah, it was pretty fucking sucky. So yeah, I had to deal with like cops and the whole justice system, injustice system. Yeah, ever since I was a fucking kid.
And when did you were in a foster
And it's not,
home?
yeah, it sucks.
You were in a foster home with
What's
an
that?
ankle bracelet?
Yep,
And
I was
okay,
in foster home with the ankle bracelet.
when did you get uh, there's a line in a Pink Floyd album, The Wall, which says, I got a little black book with my poems in it. I got a bag with a toothbrush and a comb in it. When I'm a good dog, they sometimes throw me a bone in.
Yeah,
And then they put you
I
in a
actually
cell.
love Pink Floyd.
That's what that
Yeah,
reminds me of. I have
yeah,
tons of
that's from
stories
the
about
Wall
that too.
album, I think.
Yeah, but you and I should sit down sometime. Maybe I'll come over there and I'll reveal my unbelievable life over there. But it's not about me, it's about you. So when you got out, you escaped that dreaded system. You picked yourself up, now you're a legal adult. And what
hmm
directions did you go in first?
Okay. So the direction I went in first after that. So like I emancipated out of foster care when I was almost 18. I was like 17 and a half. And I got a job as a Kirby salesman. I um was out of school. I had graduated high school. By some fucking miracle, I ended up graduating high school. Uh, and so by the time I was 18, I was selling Kirby vacuum cleaners door to door. And I started doing that, and like the first day selling Kirby vacuums was kind of a trip. So you have to remember that like I came from this background of like my friends and I used to do a lot of drugs, and we used to party a lot, and I was this rebellious little shit. Like I was literally the kid that like people's parents would tell you do not fucking hang out with. You know, like I was that kid to stay away from. And so
Right.
like when I got into selling Kirby's, the first day on the job, we're in the parking lot after we had like a sales meeting. They would do these sales rah meetings, you know, and my team leader, my van leader, was new as a van leader. This was his like first month or so as a manager. But I was on his team, and he had to pick up, I guess, other people who were on his team later in the day. So it was just me and him after the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody had left the office, and we're in the parking lot of the Kirby office. And I
Yeah.
get in the van, and he hops in, and I'm like putting my seatbelt on, and he tosses to me uh, a bag of cocaine on my lap. Like literally throws a fucking 8 ball of cocaine at my lap.
Mm-hmm.
And then he hands me a clipboard, and he's like, "Hey, dude, chalk up some lines for us." And I'm like, "What the fuck?" I mean, I was tripped out, but also I was a little shit, and I was like, "Okay, all right, let's do
Kirby's
it."
great.
And
Kirby's great. Kirby's the
and
best. Hey, if you chalk
yeah,
up the
yeah,
lines,
exactly.
make sure the vacuum cleaner's off when you do that.
Yeah, exactly. And so like long story short, by the end of the day, we had like they had given me cocaine, I was high, we were drinking beers, and just like driving around. We went and picked up the crew. These Kirby people were jumping out of the van, and they're doing demos in people's houses, and I'm like all fucked up just hanging out and like wow, this is the craziest thing. And the boss, he's like really cool, and we're fucking smoking weed and joking around the whole time, and I'm high on fucking coke and getting drunk. And then like at the end of the day, he's like, all right, are you ready to go do your first Kirby demo? And I'm like, all right, sure. So they like throw me in a house, and I'm fucking wasted, and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I definitely didn't sell the Kirby. And I was just like wasted in these people's house. I didn't really know what to do. It was super fucking awkward. But then they came and picked me up afterwards. They tried to sell the vacuum to the people, but they were unsuccessful in doing so. And then we went out and drank some more, and then they dropped me off at the end of the day at my uncle's house, where I was living at the time. And my uncle, I just remember this, like, my uncle was like, hey, how was your first day at work? And I was like, I think I found a fucking career, Unc.
Yeah, exactly.
I did it. I'm going to do this for the rest of my life.
I'm a rock star, man. Selling Kirby's.
And then, so for like, so for like literally for like almost a decade after that, I rode around in a van selling $2,000 vacuum cleaners door to door around Colorado and New Mexico and Utah and Arizona, just fucking partying our asses off like a bunch of maniacs.
Reminds me of magazine sales.
Yeah.
Magazine.
We used to run into the magazine salespeople out on the.
Yeah.
We used to run into the other door-to-door people.
Well, those vacuums are awesome, though. I mean, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Okay. We have an hour, so my next guest will be here shortly. Chat would like to know something. Yeah. Can we ask you a question?
Okay.
A personal question.
Sure.
Did you ever feel ashamed about being a foster? To the point where you didn't want to tell people?
Every day. I didn't tell, like, only my friends knew, who I hung out with, but I didn't like to tell people at school or anything else like that. It was also very, like, I was always ashamed at school because even before I got into foster care, we were really poor. So, that was also, I felt, a lot of shame for that, too.
How did you overcome it?
I'll be honest with you. Probably my time selling vacuum cleaners door to door. So like I was picked on a lot in school growing up until I was in like late high school years. I was really picked on a lot in school. And so like especially in like elementary school, it was funny. It's funny because I was like the only white kid in my school. Well, there was like me and one other white kid, and everybody just assumed we were brothers because we were the only two white kids, But yeah, so like I caught a bit of flack for that, for being the odd one out, which I think also kind of helped me. Like I wouldn't have it any other way at this point because like I think that kind of helped me to at least have a bit of empathy for other people who have to deal with that kind of shit every day, but like real racism, like what I experienced as a child growing up in in elementary school was like being the odd person out and some weird kind of like maybe prejudices, which is completely different than full on racism, that is about like power structures and things like that. So I think it kind of helped me to form a little bit of just kind of empathy for others as well.
Yeah, a lot of
but yeah, I was definitely awkward and picked on in school all the way up until about maybe 9th or 10th grade.
Did your mother maintain contact with you while you were in foster care?
Yeah, she did. She always kind of had this goal of like trying to get her shit together and get me back, which never panned out. Again, she had some serious kind of mental issues, that she was dealing with. And she lived on like the bottom edge of American poverty, really. When I was a kid, we were like living from place to place and with different people and in motels and, stuff like that. And in fact, she was living in a motel. She lived in a motel for I want to say almost 10 years in one same motel unit.
Mm-hmm.
They got like a really cheap daily rate on.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I think, yeah, she died still living in a motel, just like real
Mm-hmm.
super poor, you know.
Did you see
Um,
her before she died?
it's really unfortunate. And I've kind of, like, I've come to terms with it because it was, geez, over a decade ago now. But there was a lot of the stuff still kind of like left unsaid. I
Mm-hmm.
was kind of rude and a dick sometimes because as a kid I didn't quite understand, like why she put me into foster care.
Mm-hmm.
Um and so there was some resentment and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
And uh, like so like we had while we did talk and stuff, like I could have been less shitty to her, you know.
We can all of us could
Uh
have been less shitty to many people. That's true. But with your mother,
yeah,
it's especially embarrassing and
right.
hurtful. It
Yeah, kind of
depends.
like uh oh shit. Sorry. Like
Yeah, you're making me
damn.
tear up, so don't feel bad. You're just talking because of the smoke.
Sorry, I don't think about like I don't talk about it a lot, you know.
I got my eyes just
So like
filled
that's
up
the
because
hard thing is that
my mother
yeah,
just passed.
'cause
So
there was like
she,
I was a little bit rude and kind of a dick to her, and then she died.
you're right.
So that's hard. And I
Oh,
always
I
tell
know.
people that like
Yeah,
like you
yeah,
might have resentments and stuff like that, but like you have to get over them,
yeah.
especially if they developed like when you were young.
Mhm,
It's hard now because like I understand,
mhm.
like like what my mom was going through
Yeah.
at the time,
Now you know.
which was really hard. It's this world that we live in is fucking hard, and if you're poor,
Yeah.
like a lot of times you don't know what else to do and you're desperate and uh like you try to do things
Yeah.
that you think will help.
Right.
And in my mom's case it was like literally give up her child who she
Right.
loved, you know.
Right.
So yeah, it was
Right.
hard. uh yeah.
Capitalism bad.
Yeah, it is.
Look what it does to families. You do things like hand your child over to a border patrolman because you think maybe that's his only chance. You do a lot of
Yeah,
things for your kids. You're a parent now though, right?
only if fur babies.
Only for babies?
Only fur babies. I have no
Only fur
actual
babies.
kids.
Oh, but
Yeah.
that's you're still a fur baby daddy. You could still be or fur
I
baby
actually
mom.
have like no interest in having children whatsoever. Yeah.
I think this
Uh
is gonna sound superficial, but should you ever, um, I think you're gonna be the most phenomenal father anybody could hope for.
uh,
And
yeah. I hope I won't.
I know,
Yeah.
I know.
Uh
Okay,
if
we
I'm
don't.
ever in a better place, maybe adopt one day, but I think it's just kind of I don't want to bring kids into this shitty world, you know.
You make me feel like we're on one
Yeah.
of those bad Twitch debate panels where it's all good until somebody starts crying, and then we're all like,
Until somebody
"Oh."
says something. Yeah, no. I'm
Just
sorry.
trying
I'm
not
sorry. I
to
didn't mean
make
to do
people
that.
cry,
Like
but actually,
I'm
no.
openly vulnerable. Like that's
Well,
just how I
that's
am. I don't
wonderful.
really care. So yeah.
I'm just happy that you sat with us. I'm gonna make this easier for you when we say our goodbye questions. These are more like the little fake us inside
Cool.
actor studio questions. These are easy, but very briefly.
Yeah.
Briefly, um, worst Twitch stream ever. Worst Twitch stream experience ever.
Oh, dude, I've been streaming for like a really long time.
I know.
Um, like, well, okay, so I've been streaming, I should say, for like 5 years. When I first started streaming, uh, I would only do I like only did video games. I would just get online, play video games, and that was the reason I started streaming because I was like, hey, I play video games. People are doing the streaming thing. Why not do that while I'm playing video games? You know. It's only been over the last couple years that I started doing politics and stuff. But like when I first kind of started being open to talking about politics in my stream, uh, I had this person who was hanging out, right? And I was always really cautious to let people into my Discord to come and like chat with me if I didn't know them. And I had this person come into my chat one time. They're like, "Hey, can we come in and talk?" You know, and let's because I was talking about something, some politics, something, you know. And I was like, you know, I don't really know you, so like maybe if you're around a little long, you know what I mean? Like hang out a little more, and then I'll let you in. We'll have a chat maybe one of these days.
Mm-hmm.
And this person hung out in the chat for like a couple months, and they would come every stream and just hang out and be really cool. Never said anything problematic or anything like that. And then I one day they're like, "Hey, you want to chat in Discord?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." You know, not thinking anything of it. And the moment I let them into my Discord, and also I should preface this with saying that like, I was a total boomer to Discord. I had hardly ever used Discord at all at that point. I was brand new to it, and so like I let this person into the Discord, into the voice chat I was in, right? And as soon as I let them in, they immediately just started saying the N word over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I couldn't figure out how to remove them from the fucking Discord. So like I spent 2 minutes and I probably could have just like turned my stream off or something, you know, else. But like I was so freaked out by the whole situation that I was like, oh fuck, what do I do? And I was trying to like scream over him and like figure out how to fucking get him out of the voice chat with me. And I figured out how to throw him out of the voice chat. And I was like, oh, thank fucking God. But I didn't like ban them or anything, and they were able to just jump right back in. Yeah. So I thought that they were gone, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so fucking sorry. I'm so sorry. That's terrible. I'm going to get fucking banned now. And then they came back in, and then started doing it again. It was so fucking terrible. Yeah. I would say that was probably
the worst. That's one of the worst.
Definitely worst. One of the worst for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And you didn't have mods, right? At that point.
No, I didn't have mods at that time. I didn't have.
That's what moderators are. The little engines that believe they can make everything work. If you're
the long game, though.
Yeah.
I almost had to respect the long game, though. Like
true.
They literally hung out in my chat for like 2 months, just being cool, totally, just like hanging out, talking in the chat, and being cool and stuff. And then, boom! As soon as I put them in the Discord, they're like trying to get me banned.
I had the exact same thing happen. I realized they were hate watching.
Oh,
and they were from Australia. But anyway, and what was the best Twitch stream experience ever?
Oh, you know, I don't have like one single stream that would be like the best. But I would say that my best experience on Twitch has been during coronavirus. Because like, and I know I'm not alone in this. You know, I have been dealing with like a lot of depression and stress and anxiety. And so like being able to get on Twitch and vent and talk, but not only that, have an amazing community of very supportive people.
Oh yeah.
To chat with and talk to, and just building the community and everything has not just been like one of my best experiences on Twitch, but just kind of like one of the best experiences of my life. It's amazing meeting people who like in other times, you know, it would have never been possible, right?
Yeah.
Like, but we have friends, you know, of the stream from all over the world, and you know, you get to hang out and have a community for a community that's supportive of each other. And for me, it's been kind of therapeutic, you know, streaming throughout coronavirus. Yeah,
it has been for me as well. And since this is Twitch, we we like to focus on community building and all things Twitch, relevant to Twitch. Okay, I'm gonna ask you some really silly
Yeah.
questions, and then
Okay.
two important ones. Which is, what's your favorite
Cool.
color?
Orange.
Orange. And what is your favorite
Orange.
food?
Tamales.
Tamales. Oh my god, I like green corn.
Homemade tamales.
Homemade green corn tamales. Oh.
Yeah.
What book are you reading right now, or did you just read?
So I've read. I'm a big Tolkien nerd, so I've like read everything that Tolkien has written a bunch of times. So like all the Lord of the Rings stuff and the Hobbit and the Silmarillion and all of that. I read those frequently. Lately I've been oddly enough reading Edgar Allan Poe
Yeah.
stuff. I have this big book of Edgar Allan Poe that's like this. It's literally
Uh-huh.
called the Big Book of
Uh-huh.
Poe. So I've been kind of like dipping into that a little bit from time to time.
What is your favorite movie?
Oh my goodness. Favorite movie. That's a tough one.
I know it is. That's the real big brain
Yeah, I
question.
don't. Yeah. Honestly, like I don't know if I have a favorite movie. Uh, I like movies. Let me think. Oh gosh, it's really hard to say. There's so many good ones, and then there's also so many bad ones. Uh, I don't think I have a favorite movie. Is it okay to not
Yeah, it's
have a
okay to
favorite
not.
movie?
It's like out of the thousands I've seen, it's so hard to pick one.
Right, yeah. It depends on my mood, you know.
Correct. Just movies in general, I
Yeah,
think. Even bad
yeah.
ones can be the best fun sometimes with your friends. You know, you're binge watching them.
I
Okay,
yeah.
what is your favorite pet?
My favorite pet is Bailey, but don't tell my other pets
Oh, all right.
because they'd be jealous. But he is my soulmate. He has lived with me for 16 years,
Oh,
and in fact, this dog has lived with me longer than any other human that I've ever lived with.
isn't
So,
that amazing?
yeah, he's my little soulmate,
We can live with animals
and
forever, but
he's a
not
little
people.
chihuahua. Yeah,
Oh,
he's a little chihuahua.
aw, you can hold him. Oh, and
Yeah.
okay, who is your favorite person?
Uh, dead or alive?
Either, including
Okay.
furries.
Historical even. Gosh.
Your favorite person of all
Oh my
time.
That's a really fucking hard question too. There's so many people. I'm gonna say my favorite person. I somewhat like the movies. I'm not gonna have a specific favorite person, but I'll say that my favorite person recently is Franz Fanon,
Okay,
who I have learned about. Yeah.
okay.
Uh,
That's who you're
yeah.
vibing on right now. That's cool.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. If
and
you're not familiar, it's he has a book called. Well, he wrote a bunch of stuff back in the day. He's an anti-imperialist, anti-colonial, indigenous, socialist guy from Africa, and I think one of his more popular works is called "The Wretched of the
the
Earth."
Wretched of the Earth. Right.
Wretched of the
That's
Earth.
it.
It's really good. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. For decolonization, that's like it's a
Right.
foundation. It's a seminal work. But
Right. Exactly.
okay. And if you can give one piece of advice, or one suggestion, for making Twitch better, what would that be?
If I could give one advice for making Twitch better, it would be that Twitch needs to make it easier for streamers to be found.
God, I agree.
So like perhaps like even like YouTube has an algorithm where you can find videos and stuff that you're looking for. It's probably a little bit easier to grow on platforms like YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Um I think that like what Twitch could do to really make it better is to add like legitimately good social media features. In other words, like if you could do more networking on Twitch,
Correct.
you know, and build a following kind of similar to the way you would on like Twitter, you know, and you could make your content more findable.
Hmm.
I think it would be useful, even if they just made their algorithms a bit different. Like
Hmm.
maybe they could do tags so that people could. I know they've done tags and stuff like that before. It's just like for me, it seems like one of the fundamental problems with Twitch, at least from a streamer standpoint, is that it's really hard to grow because it's really hard for your channel to be seen. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Correct.
Because
Exactly.
there's so many, yeah, because it's very oversaturated and stuff. So, yeah, I would say if it was easier for people to find your content,
I
that would
agree
make
with
Twitch
that.
a lot better.
I
Yeah.
totally agree. It is so hard to promote. It's all word of mouth. And then
Yeah.
one bad Yelp review, and anyway, um, all that work for nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
And if we assume that the world could hear you, what advice would you give it?
What advice would I give for the
The
world?
world, 8 billion people.
Yeah. Um, my advice for the world would be to be more empathetic and communal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's it.
I
Yeah,
agree with that too.
nice and simple. Yeah.
I have enjoyed hearing you and your wild child self and your stories, and
Yeah.
as you're willing
Thank
to
you for
share
having me
them.
on.
No, you're very welcome. I
Yeah.
told you you were the number one most requested. So, and I was at
Oh,
the top
well,
of the
one of
list,
these
but
days.
I don't know. I guess people really just, I don't know.
Well, one of these days, maybe I could persuade you into coming on, and I could interview you. We could hear about your backstory.
Oh, it's horrifying. So I'll warn you that it's all truth and it's all horrifying. Yeah, I'll share my story. If you think that they're
Yeah,
relevant, I'll talk about them.
I'm sure. I am absolutely certain that they are. Yeah.
We're gonna
Awesome.
let Dirtbag go very reluctantly because I honestly just wish I'm just basically at some point I'm just gonna go over there and just hang out in his community because it just feels good to be around him. And he brought that
Oh,
to us. So
thank you.
everybody thank Mr. Dirtbag for
Yeah.
being
Hey, before
himself.
we go, do you want to shout yourself out to my stream?
My stream,
Uh,
oh, shout
yeah,
Universal Discourse. How would I shout
s-
myself out to your stream?
just
Um,
tell us what you're about over there on your channel and all that good
yeah,
stuff.
I'm the what they call the resident indigenous expert. I came in with Professor Twitch and DJ Indian a year ago. I was also a former broadcaster. My stream features everything about all things indigenous and quantum theory, um, and discourse, anything to do with discourse. I have a council that I hold to solve problems. I coach debate. I host panels. I train people. And I'm basically all about stories. I will tell stories
Yeah,
and I sort of collect stories. And my community are really super talented people.
sure.
Um, they're good people. And I think we tend to, I don't know, I think we tend to find good company. And I've been told that my channel is a super chill place to come and relax, especially if you've had a bad debate or you're suffering at 2:30 in the morning because whatever monkey's on your back is chewing your ass alive. That people have found they
Sure.
can come in here, they do feel better. We at least help them get to sleep without the nightmares, and then we check in
Yeah.
on them in the next day because we never leave people alone. That's what universal discourse is. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Fantastic. Cool.
um,
Well, this is really cool. I was
it
glad to
is
do
cool.
this.
I want to do it again. No, I
Yeah.
can't. My other guest is going to be waiting, so I
Yeah. Or
reluctantly
maybe
let
one
you
of these
go.
days we can persuade you to join us on our panel that we do every Saturday with Doc Midnight. I'll hit
Um,
you up in Discord about it.
I possibly could. Yeah, do that.
Okay.
And I tell you, we say
Dream it.
Kiyam. Kiyam means go in peace, and
Yeah.
Gitwam
Okay.
Kwapamitten, it means we'll see each other again if we're alive and well. And then Kinanaskommitten, thank you so, so much for sharing by the fire with us. And if you'll just sit tight for a second, I'm going to drop the curtains and try to be dramatic. And
Cool.
then I'm going to get ready for our next guest. But I can't thank you enough. It was just truly a delight. And I'm really, really, really happy to know you. And I wish you all the best.
Yeah. Thank you. Likewise, it was a pleasure.
Wave to our chat there. Bye.
Bye.